Chapter 10. Beheading the Imperial Grandson. A few days later, Song City, above the Imperial court. On top of the dragon chair sits the Emperor of Song, wearing a flat heavenly crown. His face is pale, and there are some old spots on his face, showing the old age of the King of Song. But the King of Song has a pair of eyes that are exceptionally godlike, staring at the bottom of the courtroom. Civil and military officials on both sides of the hall. The first two old ministers at the moment is also full size to the center of the two. One is Gao Xionzi, face icy cold, respectful voice among the who decree. The other, it is not long ago in the downtown horse racing, the royal grandson, Song Zhengxi. Only at this moment, Song Zhengxi seemed to have his whole body's hairs exploding, glaring angrily at Gao Xionzi. Your Majesty, I have identified, just now also reported to the Emperor, and all the ministers, minus one military subordinates disappeared. There is no full evidence to point to the Emperor Taizong, but Lin Chong relatives, as well as the whole village, were all by the Emperor Taizong, along with a group of minions, all beheaded. The evidence is solid. In order to secure the heart of the army, I implore you to decree, the Emperor. The punishment is clear. The crime of the Emperor Taizong, Gao Xionzi once again bellowed. In the middle of the hall, for a while, a quiet peace, together looked to Gao Xionzi. Some people appreciate, some people hate, different expressions. Song Zhengxi even jumped up in anger. Gao Xionzi, how dare you? You dare to behead me? On what grounds? That's just a bunch of unruly people who committed crimes below and tried to ambush me. I only defended myself justifiably. Gao Xionzi looked at me with cold eyes. Your Majesty, is there any point in arguing now? You are now in the heart of the 800,000 strong army of Song. You should be responsible for what you have done wrong. You seek death. Song Zhengxi was about to strike. How dare you? King Song let out a cold shout. Song Zhengxi's figure lurched and turned his head to look at the Emperor. Imperial Grandpa, Gao Xionzi wants to kill me. I know. Imperial Grandpa set up heavy punishment for the army. But that was after my accident. After Imperial Grandpa's holy decree came down. I've been in the mansion and didn't go out or. Imperial Grandpa, Song Zhengxi anxiously shouted. At this time, a minister opened his mouth and said, Your Majesty, the Imperial grandson was young and ignorant, and was compelled by his subordinates, only to be an accessory to the crime. When the first evil is executed, a group of his subordinates will be punished by decapitation, and beheading will be shown to the public. As for the Imperial grandson, he should be stripped of his title, and escorted to the heavenly prison as a warning to others. Song Zhengxi looked over and frowned slightly, but also knew that this was to save himself. There was no refusal. I second the motion. I second the motion. For a while, a large number of ministers pleaded for the Imperial grandson, as if this was already the best possible outcome. Above the dragon chair, King Song looked towards Song Zhengxi, and there was also a hint of compassion in his eyes. In his heart, he could not bear it. Gently, King Song nodded his head, as if he was going to agree with what the group of ministers were doing. First save his grandson, and all other punishments could be endured. Gao Xionzi's face changed. Once again opened his mouth. Your Majesty, I will say one last thing. Our opponent now is the ancient sea. In the past years, Chen Taiji swept the 7 kingdoms, destroyed the power of the 2 kingdoms. Is not his Chen Taiji's ability. It is the ancient sea secretly deployed troops. I will certainly do everything I can for the Song dynasty. Just how the result is, but it's up to heaven to decide. Gao Xionzi opened his mouth, and the King of Song abruptly shrunk his pupils. The old ministers at the head of the 2 columns of 100 officials also steeply changed their faces. One of the old ministers suddenly opened his mouth and said, Your Majesty, there are state laws and military rules. If we exonerate the Imperial grandson today, who will exonerate my Song tomorrow? The old minister suggested that the Imperial grandson should be beheaded, in order to calm the heart of the army. in order to correct the law of the land. Master Pang, you. Wang Taizhen immediately glared angrily. Another old minister is also a change of face said, Emperor, the death of the great-grandson, all because of its own fault. Not kill can be safe minister's heart, but not kill, but shaking the national capital, in the pastures of the scourge of Song, should not come back. For my Song, I implore you to the Emperor clear punishment, in order to correct the national prestige. Prime Minister Liu, you, Wang Taizhen exclaimed. As soon as Eunuch Pang and Prime Minister Liu opened their mouths, the ministers, who were still trying to protect Wang Taizhen just a moment ago, immediately stopped speaking. Plop. The Imperial Tai grandson instantly knelt down. Imperial grandfather, help, grandchildren sin not deserve to die or, not my doing, not my doing. He Gao Xianzi is not in the barracks to lead the troops. Come to the dynasty to interfere in politics. Imperial grandfather. The king of Song on the dragon chair looked at the royal grandson, his fists pinched. The kindness at the beginning slowly dispersed. Not everyone knows the horror of the ancient sea. The king of Song precisely experienced the scene of that year. That year, the country of Song will be destroyed, but pleaded with the Immortal sect, only to stop the war in the secular world. It was a kind of unstoppable. The national tragedy is at hand. Sun Tzu, dozens of their own, but the great Song river and mountain can be just this one or chop. The king of Song let out a cold shout. Imperial grandfather, Imperial grandfather, regardless of the royal grandson roaring in the midst of a wild cry. But all that awaited him was the merciless guards dragging him down. Song City, the largest food market entrance, at this moment has been surrounded by a sea of people, beheading the imperial grandson of the current dynasty. To be in the past, it was simply impossible, but now, the execution was about to take place. Marshal Gao, look, it's Marshal Gao. Thanks to Marshal Gao, this Song Jiangxi has harmed many girls. Well done. Look, here they come. It's really Song Jiangxi. And that group of hawks and dogs. Ha ha ha. Great. For a while, come to the food market entrance of the common people. Many people are cheering, clapping hands in the middle. The Lord Judge was sitting directly north, and in front of him was a huge wooden high platform. On it were already 30 Hitokiri standing, waiting for the execution. Penalty platform is just south of the sea of people, the people in front, but it is Hai Xianzi with Lin Chong and a group of generals. In the east of the execution platform, it is a group of government officials escorting Song Jiangxi and other people. The crowd was cloaked and terrified. Don't kill me, Imperial Grandpa, Imperial Grandpa, don't kill me, Song Jiangxi cried out, but the surrounding cacophony was too loud to travel far. Father, father, where are you? The child is about to be killed. Father, father. Song Jiangxi was in the midst of trembling cries. Imperial grandson, what to do? What to do? Ooh, I don't want to die. A group of eagle dogs were amongst the cries. You can't kill me. I'm the imperial grandson. My father is the crown prince. I'll be the crown prince in the future as well. Woo! Song Jiangxi roared in terror. Gag them. The Lord Judge let out a cold shout. Yes, a group of magistrates answered. Then, they quickly gagged all of Song Jiangxi along with a group of minions. The crowd couldn't speak and could only make whimpering sounds. But immediately after, a black headgear was placed on the head of one person. In the black headgear, the crowd of prisoners couldn't speak at all and whimpered anxiously. Escort to the execution platform. The main judge let out a loud shout. Here. A group of magistrates escorted the prisoners with black hoods around the torture platform. Walking to the north side of the huge torture platform, the queue was quite long. Everyone stared at the long queue. When some prisoners were covered by the torture platform, there were always most of the other prisoners displayed in front of everyone. The 30 prisoners walked around the huge torture platform and slowly walked up the steps. Boom! The magistrate kicked the legs of all the prisoners, and all of a sudden, The 30 prisoners knelt down together. Lin Chong's gaze, which had been dead set on Song Jiangxi's figure, his eyes were red, and he was squeezing his fists. The main judge looked at the sky. 3 minutes to noon. Beheading. Judge Zhu threw out a token. Pfft. The crowd of hitmen each sprayed a mouthful of white wine on top of their machetes. Roar. With a loud roar, the hands raised their swords and 30 heads were instantly thrown up. Boom. The blood sprayed out from the neck, splashed straight up 3 feet high, immediately spilling blood all over the place. Wow, the countless people were in an uproar. This is killing. That was the imperial grandson of the dynasty. But the imperial grandson. Xiao Di, your great revenge has been avenged. I'm sorry for you. Lin Chong suddenly went limp, sobbing uncontrollably. Sir, a group of generals supported Lin Chong. Gao Xianzi, however, looked at the generals and said, "You can see clearly and understand, except for Lin Chong's relatives, who were mutilated by Song Jiangxi, your relatives have all disappeared. They were all planted and framed. They are all Gu Hai's ghosts. Not long ago, but search the Crown Prince's residence. There are no relatives of yours at all. Do you believe it now?" The crowd of generals nodded with red eyes. "Marshal, we believe you." "Marshal, it's Gu Hai. It's all Gu Hai's doing, except for what happened to Lord Lin's family. Marshal, my subordinates will definitely fight and kill the enemy at the front line, for sure." The crowd of generals promised at once. "Good. Take a rest in the afternoon, and in the evening, we'll set off and immediately return to the camp, and make it clear to the brethren that everything is a plot by Gu Hai. We will take Tiger Firmament Pass with a bang to repay His Majesty's favor for knowing us," Gao Xianzi affirmed. "Yes," the crowd responded. "Many thanks, Marshal. Many thanks, Marshal." Lin Chong continuously kowtowed to Gao Xianzi. "Lin Chong, take a rest and come back with me," Gao Xianzi said in a deep voice. "Yes, Marshal, avenge me. This life of Lin Chong is Marshal's. Even if I die, I will die on the battlefield." Lin Chong's red eyes were grateful. Gao Xianzi nodded. This time, for the sake of Lin Chong, he had already beheaded the Imperial son. Lin Chong had to return to the camp to boost the morale of the entire army. Let the entire army know that military law was like a mountain, and no matter who it was, no one could harm their families. Gao Xianzi believed that the beheading of the imperial grandson was the best persuasion. All the generals would understand one thing. Even the imperial grandson could be killed. Who else would dare to bully their relatives? At that time, even if Gu Hai told more lies, it would be useless. Gao Xianzi is now full of energy, because Gao Xianzi is sure that this time when he goes back, he will definitely have all the troops in one mind, killing Huang Taizhen alone. But making the whole army as one, he will definitely be able to destroy Haiyangwan Pass with a single blow. All that needed to be done now was to be fast, fast, fast. In the evening, Gao Xianzi led a group of generals away, towards where the Tiger Firmament Pass was located. The execution platform at Keishiku, on the other hand, was extremely cold under this night. During the day, it was the most lively place, but at night, it was the coldest place. Here is a lot of people died, who have nothing to run here in the middle of the night. But at this moment, is someone came. But during the day, the main judge of the execution, standing next to a black-robed person, is to make Gao Xianzi headache Gu Hai. Next to him was a carriage. "This is," the main judge asked with a hint of bashfulness. "I'm the Crown Prince's man. Knowing too much won't do you any good," Gu Hai said indifferently. Yes, I won't ask. I won't ask. If you show me that letter, I'll believe it. After all, the Imperial grandson, which is the heart of the Emperor and the Crown Prince. How is it possible to behead him immediately in one day?" The Lord Judge immediately laughed. "Today's matter. Have your group of subordinates keep their mouths shut. Anyone who wants to leak it out will be punished for treason," Gu Hai said in a deep voice. The Lord Judge was jolted, and immediately nodded desperately. I understand, They are all my beloved ones, don't worry. Only then did Gu Hai gently knock on the torture platform. Steeply, where the north side of the torture platform was, a small door suddenly opened. Woo-woo, a whimpering sound came from the small door. It was a person inside, leading a daytime prisoner out. My lord, according to your orders, when the Imperial Taisen came close, we exchanged that death row prisoner for the Imperial Taisen. The one who was beheaded was only that death row prisoner. The Imperial Taisen is fine, the man laughed. Gu Hai looked down, but saw that Song Jiangxi's crotch was dripping with urine, obviously scared. Who are you? The man lifted the black hood over Song Jiangxi's head. Woo, Song Jiangxi looked at Gu Hai in horror. Removing the rags stuffed in his mouth, Song Jiangxi was instantly horrified. I'm not dead, I didn't die. I actually didn't die. Gu Hai smiled faintly and said, how could Lord Gao dare to kill you? You are the future crown prince. This time it is just to cover up the ears. When the Chen kingdom is destroyed, everything will be fine. Ah, Elder Gao saved me. Which Lord Gao? Song Jiangxi said at this moment in a half-hearted manner. Marshal, Gao Xianzi. Gu Hai said with a faint smile.